Is Christopher Nolan's new 3-hour epic a little boy or a fat man? This film stars Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb. His creation helped the Allies win the war, but did he change the world forever, for the better or for worse? Coming out of the theater, you knew the movie you just watched is going to be a huge Oscar contender. From Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and even Best Supporting Actress. This is a role he was born to play. Just look at him. He looks just like J. Robert Oppenheimer. We see actors in comic book movies today bulk up for their roles. He did the opposite. There were times in the movie I wanted to go up to the screen and feed him some popcorn. He looked so malnourished. He immersed himself in his role. His cast members said that there were times where they invite him to dinner at night, but because he just wanted to stay in his role, he politely declined. He had a subtle, nuanced performance throughout this movie. I felt some of the strongest parts in this movie were the quiet moments where he was deep in his own thoughts, haunting at times, where he struggled with morality, right versus wrong, knowing what he helped create would end the war, but what it cost for humanity and the future of the world. This is Cillian Murphy's career-defining role. He was perfect as J. Robert Oppenheimer. He's definitely going to get an Academy Award nomination. Maybe he'll even win the Academy Award for Best Actor. Cillian takes you on this emotional journey that you feel throughout. You feel his joy, you no doubt feel his pain. Without his performance, this movie would stall out a bit. This movie's heavy on exposition and some pacing issues throughout, but a superb performance as Oppenheimer cuts through some of the dense parts of this movie. Even without saying a word, you are locked into his performance. Another standout is Robert Downey Jr., one of my favorite actors of all time. Come on, it's Iron Man. And he may have finally played the role that's going to get him that long-deserved Oscar. Didn't know how significant of a role he would play in this movie. I thought he was going to be a small part, but thankfully, he has a huge part in this movie, and he's super integral to the plot of this movie. It's hard to not see him as Tony Stark after playing Iron Man for so many years. But at no point in this movie did I think I was watching Iron Man. He changed his voice slightly, maybe that helped. But he's everything you love about Robert Downey Jr. He has his wit, his charm, his attitude. He was recently quoted as saying, "This is the best movie he's ever been in." Come on, Robert. How about Iron Man 2? But this quite possibly is his best role he's ever played. Again, might get him that Oscar, just like Cillian. Emily Blunt's another actress that stood out for me in this movie. She plays Cillian's wife, but she doesn't just play her stereotypical Southern housewife. She has a complex history herself, struggles with some things, but plays a strong and loyal supporter to her husband. She stands her own ground, and she's not one woman you want to ever mess with. Finally, the person who I feel has the most chemistry with Cillian in this movie is none other than Matt Damon. He plays General Groves, who oversaw the Manhattan Project. He's this hard-headed, stereotypical type of general. His back and forth with Cillian was great banter in this movie, and honestly, the movie started to get into gear once Matt Damon entered the fold. Matt had some one-liners, and there was needed levity for this type of intense and sometimes dour movie. In fact, there was a lot of comedy in this movie that I wasn't expecting, but it was well timed and needed for this movie. This movie's long, approximately 3 hours, and you really do feel that length. The movie is dense, wordy, and heavy on exposition. At times it's confusing when you factor all the physicist jargon, along with the multitude of different characters that you have to keep up with. There was a lot of back and forth with cutting to present day and flashbacks. There was an interesting use of black and white that I wasn't sure about at first. Why were they doing this? But then I began to realize it was coming from a different perspective from different characters. And a lot of times it was Robert Downey Jr.'s character. There are times you feel this momentum, positive shift followed by a lull. So there was different pacing issues throughout this movie. By the end of the movie, Nolan does bring it back and makes you understand some of the stuff that you may have looked over, may have been confused by in the end. One of the things you normally don't hear about in movie reviews is the score. And the score by far is one of the best things in this movie. Ludwig Göransson has worked with Christopher Nolan on Tenet. He did the Black Panther soundtrack. He's honestly, right now, probably the best composer of movie music. Even during the lulls, the slower parts in this movie, Ludwig Göransson did not miss a beat. His score is emotional, heart-pounding, intense, emotional at times, especially during the Trinity scene when you're about to see the bomb for the first time. Christopher Nolan picked the right composer. Without his score, especially in the slower parts of the movie would be a little bit bland. With any Nolan movie, visually it's going to look great, and this did not disappoint. Obviously, the highlight of this movie visually is when you first see the bomb drop during the Trinity test. And to essentially know no CGI was really used for that shot is stunning. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The countdown had you at the edge of your seat. That on top of the sound design choices in that shot had me holding my breath during that scene. Without giving anything away, it reminded me of a certain scene in The Last Jedi. Yes, that Last Jedi. I was hoping to see more visually in regards to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. The movie's less about the bomb itself and more about a man dealing with the power he has and the physical and political implications of his creation. This by far is Nolan's most political, most introspective movie he's ever created. Some will call it his masterpiece, and honestly I wouldn't take it that far, but not every movie, and I hate this, has to top his previous movie or his best movie. It's better than Tenet by far. That's just a movie I didn't love. Does it reach the levels of my favorite movie of his, Inception or The Dark Knight? I wouldn't say so, but it's still dope. If you've seen this movie, type dope in the comments and make this a double D. I give credit to Nolan for taking on this challenge. He made a character study and didn't use any gimmicky tool like he had in his previous films, whether great like Inception or not so great like Tenet, just to please the audience. He gets you in Oppenheimer's head and you feel his inner turmoil and makes you even question, was this decision even good or right? When a movie can make you think introspectively, that's an achievement. This is going to be an Oscars darling. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this review. Again, if you've seen this and you agree with me and it's dope, type dope in the comments, make this a double D. If you're new to the channel, check out our other reviews and reactions with my wife, Jen. Hit that like button, it helps us out. If you like what we're doing, subscribe, and we'll check you out later. Peace.